Alright, so this is a style of video I've been wanting to make for a little while. So we're going to be talking about how I'm currently sighting for the metagame throughout my locals and things like that. So you're going to have to bear with me. We have to actually go through the deck profile so you guys get a chance to see the cards. I'm not going to go too in-depth with this because this build hasn't changed from anything, but this should give you a little bit of an idea of what we're doing. So we have triple copies of Ray and triple copies of Ash Blossom. That's our monster pool, alright, like, pretty straightforward, alright? Then we have triple copies of Engage, one Widow Anchor, 2 copies of Shark Cannon, 1 Jamming Waves, 1 copy of the ever so beautiful multi-roll, Hercules Base, and Hornet Drones. Okay, that's whatever Sky Sharker stuff. We have 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone. This card is amazing. We have 2 Foolish Burial and 1 copy of Metalfoes Fusion. Pretty straightforward. 2 copies of the Field Spell and 1 copy of Recycle Kagari. Then we have the 1 copy of Terraforming. Okay? Then we have 2 copies of Mind Control and 1 copy of Rhoda, along with 1 Upstart and 2 Desires. Alright, pretty straightforward. And then traps. We have triple Imperm, triple there could only be 1, and triple copies of Solemn Strike. So there's the important stuff. Alright. An extra deck, just to kind of give you guys a little bit of something here. We have the 1 Kagari, 1 Kaina. We'll go this way. Triple copies of Hayate, triple copies of Shizuku, 1 Phoenix, 1 copy of Hida, 1 copy of Ningrisu, 1 Bomber, 1 Boral Sword, 1 Ningrisu, and 1 copy of Starving Venom. Okay? Now, side deck. These are going to be what we're going to be talking about. We have 2 Rocks, 2 DD Crow, 2 Ghost Spell. Okay, pretty self-explanatory there. And then triple Super Poly, triple Different Dimension Ground, and triple copies of Heavy Storm Duster. Okay, that's the fundamentals of what we're going for here. Now, what are all here for? Actual side decking. So the first matchup we're going to talk about here is Orkest. And there's a couple things you need to know about this matchup. So this card right here, this is an auto win. Pretty much. Yes, your opponent can navigate under Phoenix to get to break this, and that's where I like to have this to back it up. But in that matchup, you get a lot of value out of these. Also, when they summon the Naxter to contact out with your guy, this basically protects you. It gives you a little bit more oof. So we're not aiming to take these out. Like, these are the heart and soul. Now, depending on the mode I'm playing, this is probably my first go-to in this matchup. And it really depends on, and this is the problem I'm going to have with a lot of this video, is it depends on the player I'm playing against. Are they incompetent or are they good? And the overall mode that I think I'm going to need to be on to beat them. And for the going, if I'm going first and versus going second, I do like this card on both modes. This card is fantastic. Now, depending on whichever build they're playing, I look at Imperm and go, alright, do I need to stop their key play? Is the first thing that they're doing going to be detrimental? Especially in Orkest. Like, you'd be really surprised how they can actually do. This does come up as a side-out option a couple times, but you also notice that we have 2 desires in this, and we'll be referencing this for a lot of this, but usually we board down 1 desires. Sometimes this, depending on, once again, the matchup. And this is another big side-out target. So, depending on really what we're going for. So, for argument's sake, I also look at this card a lot. I've gone like 1-1 on this too. It really depends. So, for argument's sake, okay, so we're looking at these. We're opting to go second now. So what are we doing? All right, so we're not bringing this in. No, that's awful. I do really like this card. This card is really good against Orkest. Like, so if you open up Imperm Ash, or, you know, a combination of Crow Ash or Imperm Crow, you're really good. Also, a lot of the plays that your opponent does basically need to combo start a lot. So it's interesting to kind of see what this card does in that matchup. As long as you hit the key pieces, that's that. So usually, let me leave this out. So depending on the mode we're going for, if I'm straight going second, in come the giant break the opponent's Orkest board. This card is really good, actually, at breaking boards. I know a lot of people don't like this, but for Orkest, if we're going first, in comes this stuff. If we're going second, pretty much, or excuse me, if we're going, actually, yeah, this is both going first and second. These are really good game one. Outside of that, it really depends, like I said, on the player. There are times that I look at strike and I'm like, this card is really good. You can make really weird plays to keep the strikes in. You can go things like boarding out one of each of these to keep the strikes in. I mean, yeah, you're hurting your generalized consistency, but it's not like it really matters all that much. I've also found myself, depending on if I don't need to keep the Crow, I've boarded down Imperm to 2. Like I said, it depends on the Orkest player. But for generalized purposes, this is what we're going for, at least for the Orkest matchup. I'm definitely confident to say going first or second. Really, it's pretty solid, actually. Now, Lunalight Orkest, by the way, this card's hilarious. So, against Lunalight Orkest, obviously they're going to Azathoth you, but sometimes they don't have the extenders to make the play, so you can just bring this in and laugh at them. Also, against, like, Rogue, this card is really good. That's my side note for this card, though. Also, start counting summons every game, too, so your opponent thinks that you have it. It's actually really good. Now, let's talk about our Salad matchup. Oh my gosh. So, once again, shout out to this card. This card is the nuts against Salad. You flip this up and just, you keck for days. Alright, like, that's good. Once again, same thing. We go back to referencing this card. This card is so good versus Salad. Like, so good. Now, Salad, once again, okay, so game one, I won. Alright, or I lost. We'll go with I lost for this video. Okay, so we're going first, game two. Alright, so the first thing I do, I board these in. This card is so good against Salad going first. You might be like, really? DD ground? So I actually found out at the regional. I literally YOLO'd this against Salad. I flipped it turn one, and he's just, well, he twin twisted it, and I chained it, which was already free value. This is a good bait on a back row, but you flip this, and your opponent's entire Salad turn just kind of stalls, because your opponent looks at you and goes, huh, I can't banish my Gazelle. I can't lose it for the game. I can't afford to reincarnate, because I'm going to lose all those combo pieces I need. So, this is a free passive turn on Salad if you're going first. I love this card. Once again, same thing. Boarding out the Desires, boarding out the Silent Universe. We're bringing in the Crows. These cards are really good. Now, I also found myself in the Salad matchup wanting these. This card with Salad is really good. And this is where I made the play. Board out the Upstart, one copy of that, and then just go down to this. Just to board these in. This was when I was going first. Or excuse me, when I was going second, I brought these guys in. It wasn't bad. against Salad. You basically stop their extenders. Like, that's what you care about in terms of general consistency. Also, I mean, these cards are all right, but if I am going first, things get a little bit more interesting. Or, excuse me, if I'm going second. So, like, going second, we want the crows, and we want the rocks. Like, that's where our value is. So, obviously, we board these out. And this is where we go, oh, alright, we'll keep one strike in. Also, this actually kind of depends on the matchup. Because if I see more of like a heavier back row Salad control deck, I won't even bring these in. I'll just be like, no thanks. I'd leave these in. The interesting thing with this card against Salad, though, is, yeah, your opponent can pop it, but like, if they're in a position that they can't pop it and you flip it and break their lake monster, you're usually in a really good position. So, there is our fun little Salad matchup. Now, Geist is a pain in my butt. I hate Geist with a passion. Once again, shout out to this card against Geist. Yes, they can Mill Zeke direct attack, pop this, but your opponent's not overextending into Silo Guido. So basically, you end on this in a Shizuku with 5 spells in grave, you're like in a good position. I'm iffy about this card against Salad. I pretty much would just yeet this out of my deck. Like, okay, so this card is good, stopping it's blinking a column and stopping, but as soon as the card that goes face up on the field that says you can't negate monster effects, like, you're just like, oh yeah, yikes. So, there's not a lot that we have to do versus Salad, or versus Altergeist, and this matchup is so easy. You literally just go, ta-da, we did it. Like, this is literally like my side choice. Also, if, depending on going first or second, once again, really just kind of depends. I will usually go like this and leave in 2 imperms. As you can see, the duality and the field spell get sided out quite a lot. This has been alright. I've liked this combination of siding. I've tested both ways. This card is absolutely, like, for stun, Altergeist, and everything, like, this is the play you make. If you think the deck you're playing against is going to be more grindy, then you leave this in the main deck so this can recycle, and then you board this out. It really just depends. I like having the 1 desires in the deck at all points in time. You can tutor out the other desires if you want. It's just kind of up in the air for generalized. If you need the draw power. Against grindier decks is a little bit harder to desires, but if you're pushing for game, I can afford the desires to do just that. So that's one thing I like about that. It's almost like there's a recurring theme here. Now, the mirror match, I haven't actually. Nobody else at locals wants to play Striker. Understandable. The mirror match, this card's value is good. The mirror, though, we need to have a discussion about this card. So, in the mirror, Desires turns into a really rash decision. This card will either win you the game or lose you the game. If you're desiring in the mirror, you need to understand that you are losing resources. Alright, so you need to take full advantage of that. But this is probably going to be one of the things I would board out. You have a couple of options. This card is really good for the mirror because you can stop the targeting in the graveyard off of the Kagari. I'm not a big fan of it. I get why we play it. No. This card is also good in the mirror. Taking out your opponent's Ray, definitely found to have been really good. The Rock is just terrible. Like, you had options. Obviously, like, the Heavy Storm Dusters are good, but, like, obviously, I think this would probably be my play. Just board that in. Probably kick out an Imperm, bring in the 3rd Duster, just kind of call it a day. Like, Imperm doesn't do a lot in the matchup. Actually, I'd probably go as far as to do this. But, like, alright, we sided. Like, okay, so, like, you can stab your opponent's Kagari. That's the best value you get out of it. You get to blink their multi-roll for a turn. I get why it's good, but that immediate destruction removal, I kind of value more. Like, Crow is a good card for just that. Now, with that being said, Thunder was a really easy matchup for me. So, like, Thunder, it depends. Are you playing against Explosive Thunder? Because if you're playing against Explosive Thunder where they're doing, like, full combos and stuff, you board these in. If not, like, it doesn't even matter. Like, to the extent of Thunder, like, the only side I really did for Thunder all day, I was just like, alright, let's take out these bad in perms, and brought these in. Obviously, this card is good. Once again, I'm going to reference this card. We'll board these out. And something else really bad. Actually, I'd probably go with this over this. So, like, this is good to stop the Colossus. It also depends on, like, how bad you need these. This card gives you draw power underneath the Colossus, so it's really good. I mean, and you don't really get in grind games with this, and this is just that. I'd rather have these to break the board. Like, it's much better value. Yeah, we'd go with this for this. Outside of that, like, yeah, I know Ghost Spell. I know these are really good in Thunder, or against Thunder, but low-key, they're foreign, and I don't want to read them. I just bring it in for the one matchup I do. That's that. Now, Pendulum. Okay, so it depends on the Pendulum deck once again, but did they open up the nuts? So this is how I feel about Pendulum. So if your opponent opens up the Cerberus to stop the Nibiru, alright, that's life. Alright, like, you bring these in, you kind of go to town, you do your thing. You know what sucks against... So, like, this card's really good for spellcasters. Your opponent starts doing a whole bunch of other shenanigans, and you're just like, oh, well, TC Boo is TC Boo. And then I look at these cards, and I'm like, well, this card says draw cards, which gets me to outs, which gets me to the super polyed out. And this card's just bad. We want to drop the Burial with this, or really depending. Like I said, it depends. Is your opponent, do they open the Cerberus? If not, you're in a good position with this. That's literally what this card says. So, that's the Pendulum matchup in a nutshell. Like, it really just depends. This card is the nuts against Pendulum. Holy moly. You go first, you set this, your opponent literally, you wait for your opponent to set up the P4 and you just strike them. And they're just like, but why though? Like, it's literally free. Like, it's insane. So, it's a little bit of my side decking tutorial for this deck, and things that go through my head. You guys understand, like, why I was up in the air about making this. This card, I read this in against Orkest. Just kind of shut off the graveyard. It's absolutely horrible, but that was just one game, and I like the theory behind it. Though this card is so good against Salad. Like, actually, kind of want this card to be something else, but, like, there's nothing better at the moment. But, like, outside of that, like, the side is as good as it's going to get for the matchups that I want it for. Does that make sense? So, that's inside the head of Robbie Cole with the current deck. So, guys, please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. I hope this helped out some of you. And, well, catch you guys on the flip side. Peace out. The ride never, well, truly ends. Thank you, patrons. Without you guys, I don't know what I'd be wearing in these videos. I might be a Truffle Shuffle incident all over again. Guys, please also check out VanCole40 for some awesome Vanguard content. Some other interesting stuff you might find up here on the left or in the description as well. Thanks for watching.